Welcome back or welcome to Sexy Business Podcast. I'm your host, Aisve.
And I'm Caroline. And today we have a lovely guest, Christine. Hello, Christine.
Hello. Hello, thank you so much for having me here. Well, my name's Christine. I'm just going to give a little bit of an introduction what I'm doing and why I'm here for. I do subconscious reprogramming with coaches and founders, and I focus specifically on helping them heal health issues and also money blocks.
Amazing. I mean, like, we had a very fun introduction because we met at the party, and then somebody told me, like, oh, I heard a very interesting conversation. They talking about subconscious. I was like, oh, okay, yeah. And then we just like started talking and going very, very deep into it. And I was like, I need to have you on the podcast. This is what so many people are dealing with. But before we jump into like limiting beliefs and what are the most common ones, how do you do that? What is Theta Healing? Because when you were describing it to me, it took me quite a while to understand because I don't think it's that common.
Yeah.
So give us a little bit of a feeling what that is.
Yeah, let's start at the basics. Let's start at the subconscious because most people are not even clear how the subconscious is running our life. And just to put it into perspective, we have a conscious and a subconscious mind. The conscious mind runs 5% of our mental activity and behavior. The subconscious mind runs 95% of that. So this means when your subconscious mind and your conscious mind are not in alignment, usually what will happen is the subconscious mind wins. And there's lots of beliefs in the subconscious mind that don't allow us to reach our goals because the subconscious mind's task basically is to keep us safe. And there's a lot of beliefs in there that money isn't safe, success isn't safe, love isn't safe, relationship isn't safe. Now imagine with all of these beliefs that the subconscious is trying to keep you safe, it's very hard to get there.
Yeah.
So that's what I work on. That's what I use Theta Healing for, the tool, the methodology that I use, which is basically a spiritual energy practice that allows me to look into your subconscious, find these beliefs, and then also reprogram these beliefs. I said spiritual because it's a practice where I connect with the creator, with the divine, and from that place it's then easy for me, easy in quotation marks after you learn it, to look into the subconscious, to see the things, and also to make changes really fast.
Okay. That sounds for me a little bit like with Reiki also, because I know in Reiki they also connecting to the universe, to the divine, and and how is the Theta Healing process looking? Um,
Yes, so it's basically in a session, the client comes in with a specific problem, and then we're looking at the beliefs that are creating this problem. So, for example, this person has some health issues, then we could look at, okay, what are the beliefs behind that? Because health issues, specifically, our body's continuously talking to us, and any kind of pain, sensations, diseases, they are a message that something in our subconscious is not in alignment. So then we find these beliefs that are creating that, we test for them. There's a specific way that you test with your body, so it's not just something like, okay, this is the belief. I don't say this with my mind. No, we literally test this with the body because the body knows the subconscious. The mind is sometimes like, I worked on this. I don't have this anymore. But like the subconscious thinks differently. Once we have the belief, then we need to know how is this belief serving us. And there is lots of ways beliefs that seem not so beneficial are serving us in terms of like protecting us from something, or maybe making sure that we belong or that we're not being like outcast from our family. I mean, there's lots of different things. And then we literally go into reprogramming first these benefits, and then we reprogram the belief. So to give you an example, if we would find that the reason of a specific health issue is not loving yourself fully, and we find the belief of I don't love myself, or I don't love myself, then we find how it's serving you, because maybe the I don't love yourself is making you disciplined, it's making you more perfectionist, it's making you like really go after things because it motivates you, maybe it has you interact differently with your friends and family. We find all these benefits, we take them out, we change the I don't love myself into I love myself.
Yeah, so When you were talking to me first time about theta healing and you were describing it, and as you said now, checking with the body, I know exactly what it means. And I have spent decades working on my mindset. And as you said, the common belief is like, oh yeah, I'm already done with it because like it feels like, no, this is what I believe in. And then when I checked in with my body, we found some things that I was like, oh, that was like a surprise. So as you said, like the subconscious is running us in the background, and it's so important to know what is out there. And we were actually sitting before this episode, and I was like, oh, Carolina, what do you think? Are you like limiting the leads? And we're kind of like playing with that. So we can go into our examples, but I'm also interested, you working with so many people, what are the most common things that people encounter?
Very good question. Of course, it always depends on the person, but I would say there's 3 things that I find almost in everybody. So, on almost everybody, not everybody. The first one has to do with self-love. Even if we think we made so much work on loving ourselves fully, there's so many blockages around loving ourselves, receiving love, feeling that we can receive unconditional love as well. It's often very conditional in the subconscious. Then the second one has to do with money. Money is a very charged topic for the subconscious. So there's often beliefs like money is evil, or even money is the root of all evil, or rich people are bad, like beliefs in that direction. And an interesting one that many of us have, and this is ancestral. So maybe quickly to the beliefs, there's different levels. So usually you think, okay, our beliefs, they come from childhood. And then maybe like teenage years and up until today, we have something traumatic happen. And this is where the beliefs come from. But beliefs come from so much more time ago. So they can come from more than 7 generations in the past. If you think about your parents, grandparents, and if you go back the generations, I'm pretty sure you will find a generation that was living in poverty, that was maybe living in war, that had to really struggle, that had to really fight to survive. And these beliefs, they get carried with every generation until someone releases them. So most of us today, even though now we're pretty well, like we have to eat, there's peace here in the country we live in, we still carry these beliefs from our ancestors of how life has to be hard, life has to be a struggle, I have to fight to survive. And it also in business has to be hard, it has to be a struggle. So there's kind of like these hardship beliefs, they're very ingrained in us as well.
Yeah, survival brain. I always knew it from the brain perspective that we're kind of living, I just said like 7 generation is like how many years, you know? And I've heard we also, when we heal 7 generations forward. So in the time space, it's so massive. We're like healing history. And as they say, we're changing the lineage.
Yeah.
So I do think that it's the biggest way we can do, working on ourselves, to stop being in survival and stepping out into more of a thriving
Yes.
world.
Yeah, I really think so. And I mean, I first experienced that in myself and then with my clients. As soon as you start targeting these survival beliefs, like your whole nervous system can finally calm down because our nervous system is on that dysregulated place because of our beliefs. So of course it's amazing if you do like nervous system regulation, but if the beliefs that create that aren't changed, you can do a lot of regulation with your system. It's going to dysregulate again. So you just naturally become more calm. Naturally you can invite in opportunities more easily because now it's like, okay, life can be easy, life can be fun, like things can come to me. It's safe that maybe someone invites me to a podcast to speak, you know? So it's like, it becomes almost like, I feel like a game. Like that's how I see like life. Like it's like a game and adventure. And now my subconscious is also on board with that. So it makes it more easy.
And more relaxing.
Exactly. Exactly.
Wow. I'm very interested because I said, when you said about the connection with the universe, and getting all the information, and I said, it's similar to Reiki and stuff. So what is Theta healing? What's the main difference maybe from other healing modalities and stuff? Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think?
I think we have to look at it a little bit in different categories. Of course, if you talk about mindset work, usually mindset work like affirmations or generally like mindset coaching, for example, therapy, they usually work very much with the conscious mind, which I mean is 5%, amazing, you do something. And with the conscious mind, with a lot of discipline and repetition, that's why with affirmations, they say repeat it 21 days, 40 days, you can make changes in the subconscious. It's just like, be disciplined and like do the thing for a long time, and then you eventually change the subconscious as well. Then in terms of like most of the energy healing practices I know, also Reiki, like they use the energy from the healer. Yes, they also connect to the divine and use the divine to then give maybe healings to the body. What I, from my experience, but I haven't studied Reiki, so maybe a Reiki professional might say something different, is more like you focus on the chakras, you focus on the body, you focus on aligning that, but you're not so specifically finding beliefs and reprogramming beliefs. And in the end, that's really where I found is where the magic happens. And that's where, from all the techniques that I learned and studied, I found Theta Healing the most powerful, the most precise, and most fast. Because it's literally you find the belief, you don't need to talk about it, you don't need to know where it came from. It doesn't matter. It just matters you found it, amazing, find the benefits, release it, move on to the next thing. It's not like therapy where you have to continue repeating like for the next years talking about this thing. No, it's like you change it. Let's say you change it, you heal it, and then you move on. And once you make that switch, you don't have to do the continuous repetition after. It's changed and it's permanently changed. Unless you do work again, you could continue repeating like, I don't love myself, I don't love myself, and over time change back the belief. But no one wants to do that. Like, you're okay, I changed the belief, I move on, I go to the next thing. And so it's like very, very fast, very profound, and you very quickly see changes in your external reality as well.
Okay. And another question then would be, once you have this, you find this belief, is it has to be like professional, like you helping with this, or can you start noticing yourself? So for example, I give you example. So one of my beliefs that I notice already now, that I used to hear it all the time when I was smaller also, and it's still some of my surroundings kind of project that on me. You are too much, you need to calm down, you know, in like you are too loud, you are too bright, you have too much energy, you know. And now I'm noticing, okay, now I have this belief, because when I talk to people and I'm like, is it not too much for you? Maybe I'm disturbing you. Do you know what I mean? So I'm carrying it on with me, but can I work with this by myself, or I need help to go into my subconscious to redo this, this belief?
I mean, the fastest way is get help, of course, work with a professional if this is with me or someone else. What you could do yourself is don't go into when did this happen, like what were all the instances, like don't get lost in that, because we can get into that and analyze and try to understand, and we go down this route but nothing changes. You could look at the belief and start asking yourself, how is this serving you? Like, what's the positive sides of this belief, to already like start working on that. And you can also go deeper, because I believe, I mean, I haven't looked into your subconscious, but I believe from my experience, this is only the top level. There is more, there is way more below that. And beliefs in the subconscious, I like to think of it kind of like in a chain. Like you have like the top belief, that's the one you mentioned of like, okay, I'm too much. But then you go down and there's another one below that, and another one and another one and another one, and it's like a chain. And once you find the root belief, then all of the rest like clears out. But if you only work on the top one, and even if you reprogram that, there's still this entire chain of other beliefs that are affecting you. So it might come back, or another belief might come back. So it's like really important to go deeper. So to go deeper, you could ask yourself, what is the worst thing? And don't go to mind, go to like your body feeling. What's the worst thing that would happen if this were true? Like if I were too much, like what's the worst thing?
I would be alone. I don't know.
Exactly. So then the belief is I am alone. That's already a lot deeper level. And now you could even ask yourself, what's the worst thing that happens when I'm alone when that would be true.
Oh my gosh, I would be in tears. I better don't go deeper.
Okay, let's not do that now. But you
Yeah,
see,
I'm getting.
you see like the example, and I think one thing very important to say to that to any of this kind of work is I really believe that each and every single one of us is love and light. We are all love and light, and we taken on beliefs from our ancestors. We learned beliefs, and we learned, like, we had traumas, experiences in our lives, and it's kind of like layers that have been building around this love and light. And when we do this work, we just have to remember, no matter what belief we find, if it's I'm alone, I'm not enough, I'm too much, I'm not lovable, it's not us. This is not who we are. Who we are is love and light.
Yeah.
So always come back to, this is who I am. This is just a belief. This is a belief I've taken on. I can change it. As easy as that.
But it is, you know what I loved with you, because like you said, like, I love efficiency. We were talking about it, and I was like, yeah, there are a lot of things healings, and they're like, oh yeah, it will take you years because it took you years to like get there. And when you're saying 7 generations, so like, how long will it take it for me? And you were like, no, you go there, we do this, and we go. And I was like, exactly that. Like, I feel like it's so empowering that I can tap into something and go and live my life, not clinging on the problem.
Yeah.
Because then if it becomes a bigger problem that I'm on it.
Exactly.
And I want to tap a little bit into what she said as well, because that was what we were talking before the podcast. When she was like, yeah, you're also like quite a lot. And I was like, what do you mean? I never even thought about it. And I was like, when I look at like women around me, they do sometimes say that. And what they do say a lot is like, I'm so sorry. Oh, and it's kind of like, yeah, being apologetic about taking space and just like living life, which is like so simple. And I know you said that it's like not so important to know where it's coming from, but can we just a little bit tackle like why specifically women have this? Because it's not that noticeable in men. They have other limiting beliefs, of course, very different from women. But why women are scared to, I think, then take space.
Yeah.
And if you look at different countries today, even, there is still countries where women are, they could be raped, and for that reason, they are killed. They go to jail. It's not the person who actually did the rape who's in the end punished, it's the woman. So of course, it's like all of these beliefs are there collectively. So when we do something that our subconscious is like, this is too much, of course we apologize, because who knows what will happen. Like, we're safe now here, but recently, I guess like 100 years ago, this might have been different. We wouldn't have talked about these topics even.
That's right.
Yeah, even probably like 50 years ago,
It's insane when you think just like, yeah, 50 years ago, and the landscape was different, because it feels like, yeah, we're in this present moment and we're so liberated, we're so free, we're taking up so much space, I would say. Something that you mentioned about like being a witch, being burned, we talked about actually yesterday, past lives, just randomly, because we were watching a movie and it was about that. I remember something very interesting that you mentioned about having soul contracts.
Yeah. Yeah, so the belief levels, another level that we haven't dove into yet, is also past life beliefs that we carry. So, and that depends up to every person if they want to believe about past lives. But I've seen my past lives. I know it's true. That's my reality that I live in. We take beliefs from our past lives as well. And there's also soul beliefs that are connected to our soul, because that's what our soul is supposed to work on in these different lifetimes. And there comes in a deeper level than beliefs, which has to do with contracts, obligations, vows that we make. Could be soul related, could be ancestral, could be past life related. And these contracts, one that's very common, which is ancestral, has to do with money. A lot of people, and this comes from religion, made like an oath to poverty. Like someone in their generation back then made an oath to poverty to stay poor. And if someone made that oath, this gets carried forward for every generation. And based on that, all of the beliefs will build of how it's not good to have money, of how I need to stay poor to be seen as humble, to stay poor, to not lose my family. Like all of these beliefs get created. And then if you only do belief work, it's like you never get to the root, because the root is this oath. So then you need to really release that. And then a lot of beliefs might already fall away, or it will be a lot easier to release them.
Yeah. Wow. It sounds like
It is like very much mind opening.
yeah, very much mind opening. Yeah. If we talk about the finance, I mean, if I look at my experience, also in my family was very much like big money is not good because you're gonna become a bad person and you have to be a good girl, so you cannot have both, you know. And that money, yes, makes changes people, you know, and also that you need to work really hard to be able to have money. You know, you can't just do little things and then be rich and stuff. Like, yeah, like so much affected in my family, I
And I
think.
think money is such a big topic, and that's why we're gonna have a separate episode basically just on that, because it's such a big thing.
It's big, yeah.
We talk about it so much, but then a lot of people, I think, don't do any work because it's just like, no. What made me realize now when you were talking about like these soul contracts, past lives, you know what it eliminates completely for people? Like we like to say like, oh yeah, I don't love myself because when I was in 5th grade, that person told me something. It completely eliminates like blame. And I think for like change, I need radical responsibility. Like, yeah, I own it. I have my past life. I don't even know what I'm carrying in like my backpack.
Yeah.
But like I'm ready to unpack it and like go deep
Yeah.
to see what I have, to change maybe the tools and
Yeah.
go to the journey I want to go, how I want to go.
Yeah.
And I think when we did the session, I was a bit like, I'm going to go somewhere deep that I don't even know where I'm going. And it's a little bit like, like I need to step up for myself, but I love that part because, yeah, I can only look at myself and be like, oh, I am where I am. I'm creating the life. Like I'm creator of my life.
Yeah.
So I always want to look at myself and see how can I do that better. And I think one of the ultimate things that you do to people, going from this like oppressive slavery mood to like really liberate the mind, the body, the soul.
Yeah, I think like it's also important to mention in that aspect is like, as I said, like you are love and light. Like this is not you, this is your subconscious. And you don't know when the beliefs came in there. It's like not even yours. It's like most of the time doesn't even come like from the 5th grade experience or from your childhood. It's like goes back so much more than that. And it's like, yes, you carry this now. I take responsibility for this backpack, but I also have a choice to put this down. Don't need to shame myself or blame myself or judge myself for not having it done earlier because I didn't know. Otherwise, I would have put this down. Like literally, once you learn about this, you're like, okay, how can I clean it out? Because it's like it doesn't help you moving forward.
So, and as you mentioned about that, the beliefs can come from like cultural backgrounds, from the past lives, from like many, many generations backwards. Does this mean when we are small, we get triggered by something and it brings us from that past? That's why we don't even realize. And then when we grow up, we think, oh no, that particular time when you just said in the 5th grade or whatever, you know, that particular time, I think that's what triggered me. And that's where belief came from. You as a professional, you help to find, was it actually in that moment or was it from the past somewhere? Is it? Yeah.
It's not so important where it came from, but what you mentioned is very important about the triggers, because every time we're triggered, doesn't matter if we're 1 year old or 90 years old, it means that there is something inside of our subconscious that's not healed yet. If it's a contract, a belief, maybe some emotional traumatic memories that are stored in there. So every time you're triggered, it's not about that someone else did something to you, because even if someone else did, they violated your boundaries, for example. Yes, that's not a nice thing to do, but if there wouldn't be any subconscious beliefs inside of you that contradict this, you would stay calm and you would just tell this person to not violate your boundaries. If you get triggered and you feel these emotions of like, oh my God, who is this person? You get angry and you do, all of the things that usually then the mind does. You know that there is a belief deep down in there. So every trigger you can use to find the beliefs and change them, because then the next time the situation won't trigger you. You just stay calm, say what you have to say, and move on with your life.
Wow.
Mhm.
Can we give some like practical tools to the listeners? I think you already did when Carolina was like, oh, okay, so why do I have this? Because if you ask me, I think we all need to work with us in whichever modality we choose. And I think subconscious to me was like such a big opener because I've tried different things. And I think it was so powerful when you ask like, hey, there's this thing which with the brain is not great, but why does it serve me? Why am I using it so greatly every day and playing around with it?
Yeah.
So how can people go a little bit like to understand and to a little bit unpack, oh, there's some work to be done?
Yes. Very good question. I would start with, before I even go into that, what I would start with is connecting to that space of love and light. If this might be standing in front of the mirror, looking yourself into the eyes and like feeling into that love, this might be lying in your bed in the evening, telling yourself, I love myself, and feeling into that love, coming back to that connection. Because from like just coming back to that connection, this is the true you. Like from that place is so much easier to heal and reprogram and do all of the work. So this is what I would do as a first step. And then you can start using these triggers. So that means taking a radical responsibility for everything that is happening in your life. Even if someone is doing something that you don't like, you take responsibility for the way you react in this moment, which means when you are triggered, usually one of two things happens. Either you feel fear, you feel anxiety, you feel like, oh my God, what is happening? Or you feel anger or like frustration. Like these two types of different emotions come up.
So either like being lost, anxious,
Like fear based.
or fear-based,
Mhm.
or the other?
Anger, like really being angry, frustrated, was like
One is kind of like
exactly.
going, or the other one's like attacking.
Exactly.
Okay.
And start working with like either one of these. In terms of fears, is the process that we just talked about. So let's say I want to post something on Instagram, and I'm like, okay, like I saw another post that was amazing, and I'm like, oh my God, like I don't know if I can do this. You go into like the anxiety and all of the fear and everything. Then starting to ask yourself, what's the worst thing that could happen if I post this post? Okay, maybe people will laugh at me, people will judge me, and then like go deeper. And maybe you find like I'm alone, like I'm nothing, like it could go very deep, and just find that, start creating that awareness. So then after you established the connection to your true self, to the love and light, you can start working on your triggers. This means first taking a radical responsibility for what you have inside, what you're carrying in your backpack. And in terms of working with your triggers, there's two categories basically that you can work with. The first one is fear-based, anxious, like this kind of like going inward energy. And the other one is like getting angry, getting frustrated, thinking like, who is this person? What is this person doing? Like kind of like really like this external energy. In terms of the first one, the fear-based one, is really the process we did before. So as an example, you want to post something on your social media, and right before you post it, you see another post from someone, and you're like, oh my God, this is so good, what I wanted to post, maybe it's not good enough, maybe people will laugh at me. Instead of like going into this whole spiral, be like, okay, what's the fear? The fear is that people will laugh at me. Then what's the worst thing that could happen? Okay, people judge me. What's the worst thing that could happen? I end up alone. I mean, like go deeper, and find like the beliefs, and like realize, okay, it's not you who's fearing this. It's like your subconscious being triggered somewhere. Then for the anger one, this often is also connected to some memories. So this means someone is violating your boundaries. Your partner is violating your boundaries. And you get angry and you're like, oh my God, he's doing it again, whatever. Like stop in that moment if you can, or reflect afterwards if you can't. And be like, okay, when in my childhood did I experience someone violating my boundaries? And then maybe your mother was violating your boundaries for whatever reason. You find that memory and you remember the same angry feeling, and then you could ask yourself, how did it serve me in that moment to be angry? Like, really, how did this serve me? What was like all of the reasons? And sometimes just by listing all of the reasons, the anger goes away and you go back to the original memory and you're not angry anymore and you won't be triggered. If that doesn't happen, or like the anger is just like a little bit less, there's more belief work to be done. Then you need to find the beliefs that create like this anger and like go deeper. But sometimes just from like finding these benefits is like, it's crazy, because then you go like back to the original memory or like the moment now and you're like, oh, I feel calm. It's like fine.
Wow. Oh, but this is so good, like really going and unpacking. Because as you said, simple daily things in life where people get triggered is like, why?
Exactly.
Have breaks. Okay, that's it. But yeah, if we really go deep into it,
Yeah.
with how we are now, not at that stage of life, it really helps us to shift perspective. Yeah.
I mean, it's a simple process. It's not a process where you like need to shame yourself that you haven't done that yet or judge yourself. Is like, I'm German, so I'm very rational as well. But I write this down. I'm like, okay, what's the fear here? Write it down. What's the belief? And then I just write them down very rationally, without even thinking like, of course, I might have feelings associated with it, but I'm like, okay. Once I find the beliefs and change that, the feelings will naturally move out of the body because that's what they want to do. So you don't need to get caught up in anything. You don't need to like do this for the next 10 years. Like, literally have like a trigger, you change it and you move on with your life.
I love it.
I love it. So much information. I'm like,
Yeah, it has been like very impactful conversation, and I think like people will find a lot in this, and I love that you have this very tangible thing to do. And I think, yeah, like journaling it out like gives a perspective before you can actually maybe decide to work on it even more.
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah. And it doesn't sound so scary, because sometimes people, I think, when they're choosing to go to some consultations and stuff, they're like, oh, I don't know what they're gonna do with me. I'm scared and stuff. And it's so beautiful what you explained from the very beginning, that it's just like process like this. We just ask, we look at it, we don't make it bigger so it doesn't bring more pain. We just, find it, redo it, and just moving on. Like, this is so simple and beautiful.
And I love the part that like in the very beginning, like to connect that love and light. And that's the starting point. And then go into
Exactly.
the other stuff.
I mean, even if you only do that, your life will change. Like, if you could live from the place of love and light, you wouldn't care about a caffeine program because you love and light. You wouldn't care if someone tells you something because you love and like literally just that changes everything in your reality.
It, as you said, it sounds so simple, but it is very profound. It's simple once you go there.
Yes. Yes.
Beautiful.
Thank you, Christine. I think there's a lot of things that people will start thinking about. So I do encourage you to leave some comments, some questions, like what this episode brought to you into the mind, and maybe even like leave some questions for Christine, because we do have another episode with her. And yeah, we'd love to hear how we could like better serve you working towards that love and light.
Exactly. Thank you so much for coming, and thank you for all our followers. Please comment and subscribe, and we see you in the next one.
Thank you.